Hey, my brothers, it's Dr. Tartt. If I could, can I give you three convincing reasons why black men should reconsider marriage if you want to build wealth, you want strong communities, and you want to live longer? All right. So I don't know if you've seen the video with George Fraser floating around the internet where he's talking about the biggest crisis in the African American community that we're not talking about is our decision to treat marriage like it's an option versus an advantage. And he's talking about economic wealth, right? And he quotes these statistics, brothers. I want you to pull up, all right? And I want you to listen to this. Sisters listening to this, I want you to tell the brother that's trying to not date you or who's scared, your brother, your cousin, they should reconsider if they want to truly build wealth. All right. So he says, we should not be treating marriage like it's a ball and chain. We should not be saying marriage isn't for me. We should be talking about three solid reasons. And I'm going to add a biblical backing to each one of these as to why we should reconsider marriage. All right. Let's talk economics. First of all, marriage builds wealth faster than staying single. So the statistics show that married men generate more wealth, 3 to 5 times more wealth than single men over the lifetime of a marriage. Let's break it down. Two incomes, two inheritances, two 401ks, right? And it also makes you think as a man, you start thinking generationally. You start thinking about legacy. You start thinking about ownership. And you start looking at your wife, right? Not as a partner, but as an asset. And you start having conversations about how to build and manage wealth together. This is what's happening with your neighbors across the street with the picket fence and the nice cars and the businesses. Right? This is what they're doing. All right. So they're sitting down and saying, hey, babe, let's live off of one income if we can, our 1.5 income. So half of your stuff, and let's take the other 50% that we're not using and buy a business, invest in venture capitalism, crypto, if you know crypto, stocks, real estate. Y'all seen it. You've seen these conversations. How are these brothers marrying and leveling up? This is what is happening. These are the conversations. And you know who knows this? Every other race other than us, according to George Fraser. And I say that respectfully. All right. Highest household income in America. East Indians, household income, $104,000. Marriage rate, 94%. I know y'all thinking, yes, that's arranged, but maybe that's something we should think about. Maybe not arranged marriages, but if we're not married by a certain age, maybe we should have arranged dates. Maybe we should get our friends together and say, you're not married? I'm going to arrange some 3 dates for you to go on. I don't want you scrolling. I don't want you doing this. I'm going to pick 3 good men, 3 good women. You need to get to know them because we need to get our marriage rate up. All right. Chinese Asians, 110,000 household income, marriage rate of 70. I know that's slightly higher, but I think George Fraser's looking at is household income plus marriage rate. Number three, Caucasians. All right, 88,000, marriage rate 50. They used to be number one, but since the divorce rate and it has gone down, they're at number three, and that also explains what's going on in this country, but that's a whole nother video. Number four, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, 61K household income, 70% marriage rate. And then here comes African Americans. Here we come. Dead last, 55,000, right? Marriage rate, 34% going into the teens. And this is not a diaspora issue. This is African American. Because you look at the rates in our African brothers and sisters, it's higher. They have a different mindset. They see marriage as an advantage, not an option. Brothers, are you getting it? Are you getting it? All right. So as if we're really talking about building wealth, what would happen? Let's do the math. African Americans coming at 55K. All right. East Indians at 104,000. Chinese Asians at 110,000. Well, most of them single. It's 34%. That means 60% of brothers and 69% of our sisters are still single. If we married, that household income would go close to 100K. If you brought someone else make 55, you make it 55. Here we go. Does that make sense? And what does it say biblically? Proverbs 13:22, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. The Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance, not just money, but name, stability, and security for future generations. This is where we need to go. Number two, marriage makes you healthier and live longer. The study showed married men are happier, healthier, and wealthier. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says two are better than one because they have good reward for their labor. If they fall, one can lift up the other. All right. And the statistics show All right, that married men are less likely to suffer heart disease, depression, stress-related illnesses. Why? Because they have a committed partner who's making sure that you're eating right, going to the doctor, going to follow-up appointments, and making sure that you're good. And let me be practical as a doctor myself. All right, you have someone who's actually in the in the waiting room when you have a major procedure. As you turn 40 and 45 and 50, some of you 35, 30, you're going to have your first major medical procedure. Who's going to be there to help you with aftercare? Who's going to be there to help? Who's there for you during COVID, right? Married brothers at first had their wives passing the tray under the door before we knew, it was safe to go in the same room, just mask up, right? Single brothers, you had to go it alone. Your little side pieces not coming by to bring you a plate and risk dying, and you have no commitment to them. But all seriousness, right? You need a wife, and you know who knows this? That they 50, 60, 65, 70, marriage rate ticks up. Why? Because they call them hospice. Men are looking for hospice wives because they're getting older. I don't want that to be you. So, brothers, listen, you need that help. So I need you. Your wife is going to push you. It says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and gains favor in the Lord. Right? Not good for man to be alone. I will create for him a helpmate. Let's break that down. It's not good for man to be alone. Right? I will create for him a helper. Self-explanatory. All right? This is going with the statistics. Being alone is keeping you broke and taking 10 years off of your life. It's not worth it, brothers. Find a good woman. Then it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So that means she's good when you meet her. She's good for you. She's good for the marriage. And you gain favor in the Lord. You gain favor. So you're making more money and you're living longer because she's pushing you to be your best and encouraging you to exercise and eat right, go to the right doctors, right? Without that accountability system, man, we don't go to the doctor. Right? You just duct tape your leg and keep it moving. All right, number 3, marriage strengthens the black community. If we look and see what's going on with us politically right now, there's an attack against just people of color in general, especially black folks. Let me just keep it real, right? And so if we're looking at that, right, and if we go back to Ecclesiastes verses 9 through 12, all right, we keep going. It talks about, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to lift them up. Also, if two lie down, they can keep each other warm. But how can one stay warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. That's Ecclesiastes verse 4, 9 through 12. So what does that mean? That means that if I'm down as a man, I have my wife to lift me up. If I'm down as a wife, my wife can depend on me to lift her up. If our community is down, we can lift each other up. Malcolm Gladwell has a book called Tipping Point, and what he shows is that the crime in a neighborhood tips downward when the amount of men in the community drops below 11%. Right? Because once you have above 11% men in the community, we're outside spending time with the youth. We're breaking up fights. Just our mere presence decreases crime. So if we're talking about building strong communities, as our East Indian brothers, as our Caucasian brothers, as our African brothers, as our Chinese Asian brothers and sisters, as our Hispanic brothers and sisters, it's the black community that's suffering the most because we're not marrying and having family, right? All right. The mode is to be able to build or even blend, if you've been divorced before, to blend your family so that we can have a strong community. This is something that God wants. He wants marriage. He wants strong families. He wants strong community. Then we can have a strong people. Right? Strong marriages holds communities together. Wherever there's a high marriage rate, school is going to be better. Wherever there's a high marriage rate, parks are going to be better. A high marriage rate, crime is going to be down. You're going to have more resources. Why? Because it's more disposable income in that community, and you can have a Whole Foods. You can have a Trader Joe's right up the street, right? You can have a Starbucks right across the street. All the things that you want, organic fruits, everything that you need, the Orange Theory, the nice gyms, the lifetime effects. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. You can have those things. Better schools, right? Are you going to pay for better schools all because you're coming together and better schools we can fund that are in our community for us, by us. Are y'all getting it? So listen, I just need you all to understand and let me know your comments. Have you ever heard this? Right? I don't want you to get hurt. Pick well, pick wisely, make sure that you're a good person to be in a relationship with. And let's make sure that we are building up our wealth, we're building up our health, and we're building up our community by looking at marriage as an advantage, not an option. Love you, brothers. Let me know your thoughts. God bless. Sisters, send this to the man you're dating and get that ring.